Hello and welcome to DCP SideQuest episode number 110, the binary episode.
110.
110. Welcome.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I should have prepared some 110 facts.
Oh, that would have been awesome. Yeah, 110 facts to just kick things off.
We've got Mylan doing Australia facts on the other show. We should have you do
we need
facts
we need Brexit facts, you know?
Yes.
Fact number 1, it's rubbish. Fact number 2, I wish we could go back. Fact number 3, everything is going down the drain.
All right.
Fact number 4, we told you so.
We told you.
But apparently they're just like, well, they're like, oh wait, you mean my fuel prices have gone up? What?
What?
Yes. Believe it or not, it was a great thing being part of the European Union. Alas, now we're suffering because of you idiots.
So that's 5 facts.
That's 5 facts. Yeah. How can I spin up 110 ways of saying these morons that have ruined the country for us? They should never have been listened to.
Well, technically, it's the majority of the country, right? So technically, what you're saying is that your country is more than 50% morons.
Do you think it's the tea? Too much tea drinking? Is that what it is?
Be.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It lulls the brain into a state of
that Earl Grey. Really, gets to your brain.
True. See, all the people that voted to remain are coffee drinkers. They're more modern and they're tuned in. Whereas all the people that are stuck on tea are just like, oh, yes, I like the olden days. No.
You know, actually, I don't know this. Eric, what is your preference for drink? Is it tea or coffee?
Green tea.
Green tea.
And coffee.
Cold or hot?
I'll drink it either way, no matter which way.
Is it tea in the morning? Is it tea in the morning, then coffee when you want to have like a beverage that's all sugary?
Recently I've been sort of like dialing back a little bit of coffee because I have pre-workout for gym anyway, so I get like 300 milligrams of coffee like straight away, like bam.
Yeah.
So I try not to drink coffee on the day that I have pre-workout, which is most days.
Yeah.
But some days I'm just like, I need some more coffee.
Right.
The thing is with me, I don't feel like I don't notice the kick that I get for coffee. I just like the taste of coffee. So I literally never drink it because I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I need a coffee to put me up. I'm just like, I just like it. Whereas tea, a lot of the time,
a warming sensation on my throat too.
Yeah. It's why for a while. I mean, it didn't quite taste the same, but for a while I started just like buying decaf just for the times where I wanted the taste of it, but just didn't want extra caffeine.
I switched to decaf. I switched to decaf earlier this year because I'm the same way. I actually drink coffee first for the flavor. And in the past, I've like kind of done it for the caffeine, but I feel like caffeine doesn't really affect me the same as other people. I have this weird like, I might get a little jittery, but I don't have like that same boost of sudden, oh my God, you know? So I've always just preferred the flavor. And I've noticed like I'm drinking decaf Pete's coffee right now. And
oh, nice.
I like the flavor of coffee.
It is delicious.
Yeah, it is very, very good. And it's also nice like hot and cold as well. But if I in between, I started like mixing up teas as well. Like, I'll have like green tea, and then if I really wanted to sort of be conscious of like my caffeine intake, because even though I think because it's something I've been trying to sort of like be more conscious of anyway, because even if you don't feel it, like caffeine in and of itself has like a massive half-life. So, you have 300 milligrams, 8 hours, you've got 150 milligrams in your system still. So it's no wonder people sometimes struggle to sleep. I mean, I can sleep all the time, but I started drinking red tea in the evenings because obviously there's no caffeine in that. So that was quite.
Yeah, I've noticed my sleep has evened out quite a bit ever since I dropped caffeine. Yeah. So that's been a nice benefit. Sometimes I forget that though, and I'll have some green tea and I'll be like, why can't I sleep right now? And I'll be like, I did have green tea and it was at night.
Yeah.
So.
True.
I like a sleepy time tea late at night.
Oh yeah.
Like right before you go to bed, like a nice herbal tea with no caffeine in it. It kind of soothing and warming, and
that's the thing,
just
right?
Natural transition to slide you right into bed.
Yeah,
that is the thing. Sometimes you want to just feel like the ritual, right? It's like, let me just sit down, get cozy with like a nice warm drink, and then
the ritual is very powerful. For like most of my 20s, I had this ritual of drinking coffee while I wrote software. And like, that was so intertwined with coding for me that it was very difficult to not have coffee when I was coding. So, yeah. Anyways,
That's the coffee talk.
That's coffee talk right there. Brexit facts, coffee talk. It's a whole new podcast that we started today.
We have quite literally gone on a side quest of the main podcast.
Yeah,
it's an actual side quest. So there's definitely a couple games that we want to dig into. There was Eastward that you played, and also I played some Deathloop over the week. What should we start with?
Let's go with Eastward.
Let's hear it, Eric's.
This game is so good, right? So I've learned from talking to my friends that I need to try and sometimes temper my excitement, because when I really enjoy things, right, I'm a Nintendo kid at heart, right? I'm like a kid in a candy store. If I like something, I will just go 100%. This is the best thing ever. Oh my god, it's amazing! Like I'm a kid on like I've just had too much candy. And I realize that sometimes, especially on YouTube, people are just like, this guy must have been paid like £1 bajillion to say good stuff. I'm like, no, I'm just a really excitable person.
Highly skeptical people on YouTube.
I do find it hard to believe people who are only positive about something.
See, this is an interesting discussion because before we get into Eastward, like this is one of the things that I do struggle with YouTube. For me, like it's difficult because people that watch my content don't necessarily know me as a person. Any of my like my friends that know me in real life will know that I'm largely speaking like I enjoy a lot of games anyway. But if I don't enjoy something, I just stop playing it. I don't often, unless we have like a constructive discussion like on a podcast, something like that. I won't often say anything bad about things. It's not because like. Again, the YouTube comments will be like, well, he doesn't want to say anything bad because he doesn't want to be in a blacklist. It's like, it's got nothing to do with that because that is just like a myth anyway. You can say bad things and people will still work with you as long as you're respectful. But the thing is, like, for me, I've just never really, like, I won't hide anything. Like, if there's something wrong with the game, I'll tell people. But at the same time, I'm just like, if I actively spend time playing something and I just don't enjoy it, the energy it takes me to make a video, I'd rather put that energy in something that I actually enjoy than sit there and be like, okay, let me tell you about something I don't like. I'm just like, it's just who I am, and I realize that does sometimes dig me a hole because sometimes on YouTube, like I've had it. People have been before. They're like, I swear you always say good things about every game. I'm like, no, I just say good things about the games that I cover, and I specifically cover the games that I like.
Cover the games you want to play.
So it does therefore give this kind of unrealistic expectation that I'm saying positive things about everything, when in reality it's just that I've just chosen to talk about the things that I like. But I see your point. It is hard to sometimes, and I completely get that. It's hard to therefore.
I don't apply that reasoning to you because I've known you long enough that I know what you're talking about. But when if I meet somebody new or I'm talking to somebody new and they're just overwhelmingly positive about a certain thing, I'm like, yeah, but what else is there to this, right? Like, what is the
what's the flip side?
I find
the contrary.
I find it's an interesting sort of like it's an interesting way to sort of like kind of like a mindset shift as well, because sometimes I can get so lost in the game and I'll be playing through it, and I just like, even when like say Tales of Arise, right? Like I really enjoyed Tales of Arise. Was it a perfect game? Probably not. But when I got to the end of it, I genuinely had to think really hard. When I was doing my impressions video, I was like, what did I not like? And I was like, I really can't think of anything. But then when I was speaking to other people about it, they're like, oh, I didn't like this and this was kind of annoying. I was like, now you mention it, that was kind of annoying, but it just wasn't present to me in my head.
You just didn't focus on it. Yeah.
No. So it's I know it's something I do need to get better at, because I know that it is good to have that balance.
But at the same time, though, I feel like people who watch are going to understand that you've curated the topics, out of things that you are actually interested in talking about. Like, your content isn't based around, 10 things I hate about all these video games.
Right.
10 worst video games in history. 10 reasons why you should never play this game. Like, there's obviously a clickbait system in place right now for those types of content, and they tend to get recommended. And that might be part of it too, is people expect like this negative side of certain things on YouTube. And then when you get when you find a content creator that's like, I just don't want to talk about like all the negatives, like I want to talk about the good things that I like about stuff, then it can be it can be, I understand the problem that people have with that. For me, I always try to reserve at least like maybe 10%, maybe like 20% at most of things that to have like a different perspective about. Like, I try to think about what would people not like if they're like this type of person, then I could see you're not going to like this because of that, because I feel like balanced perspective is important. But at the same time, you're definitely not wanting to just talk about things you don't like.
No, exactly.
That's not fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
However, despite this sensible conversation, I'm going to throw all balance to one side and say that Eastward is quite possibly the best game I've played in a very long time. This game is incredible. This game is, if you haven't played it, like I kid you not, right? Like Briar, you 100% need to play it. You both need to play this, but I know that 100% this needs. Like I'm surprised that you haven't played it already, just because this is like the pixel art style. I thought you would have been like,
yeah, I've been waiting to hear your thoughts on it before I like make the purchase. Actually,
yeah. So this one, like, so. Anyone that hasn't sort of seen it, like the top level, the best way to sort of sell it is handheld top-down Zelda meets Earthbound meets Last of Us. Only Last of Us because you're playing as like an old dude and a girl at the same time, so it's kind of like that kind of thing. But gameplay-wise, it's basically like a Zelda meets Earthborn, right? So you're kind of going around. So I always get them confused, Earthborn and Earthbound, because in game there's an actual mini game called Earthborn. That's like a nod to the other one, so like I mixed them up. But anyway, yeah. So top down, you've kind of got this adventure. I'm going to keep it super loose because I don't really want to give away any story stuff. But the premise is that you start off living underground because there's like some big miasma that's basically made above ground, supposedly very sort of dangerous to live. So nobody kind of goes above and beyond ground. And then obviously being the sort of yeah, supposedly, exactly, yeah, and then being the sort of adventurous duo that you kind of want to sort of find out what's beyond the surface, and that's kind of the direction that your journey will take you. And then it's about like going beyond and then finding what is actually out there. That's the extent I'm going to say for the story, because the one thing I would definitely say from a narrative point of view, there were so many times throughout the game that I encountered very interesting story elements, and I was like, I didn't know this is not what I was expecting from this game. Like there were. It's like you read the box and you're like, oh, I've got a synopsis for the game. I've kind of got a picture for how I feel it's going to go, and then the story goes full on, just like, okay, all right. So that was So it's very very sort of different in that regard. But the actual gameplay from literally the second you play it, like obviously it is a kind of a more sort of like retro style game, pixel art style, which looks fantastic. But obviously it does mean that every dialogue thing you have to read. There is no voice acting or anything like that. But I mean, that's kind of expected anyway. And that doesn't mean to say that it's like devoid of sound, because this game has an incredible soundtrack. You will love the music. Nice. I'll tell you that. Like there are some fantastic tunes in this game. And it's one of those things where it's quite interesting, because I was thinking about this recently. Like when I play some of these games, like when I play Tales of Arise or other games like that, these days, because I'm more conditioned to try and play games on sort of a golden line, there's not too many games where I feel compelled to explore every corner all the time. And a lot of the time when I like wander around a town, like sometimes you can just have mindless interactions with NPCs and speak to random people, and you're like, I can't be bothered to do that because it's not really going to add to my experience. I literally
like
in 90%
this game, of video games.
Yeah, exactly, right. And although technically speaking, a lot of the time in this it's still random chatter, I felt compelled to speak to every single character in this, because they've all got very sort of fun, quirky dialogues, and they just really do bring life to the game.
Nice.
So yeah, so that much of it is fantastic. When it comes to gameplay, like gameplay is pretty sort of standard Zelda stuff. So there's nothing like, it doesn't do anything new. It's more so just like you can either play as John and Sam. So John is like your Link, for want of a better word. You've basically got a frying pan as your primary weapon, which is your sword. And then you get some other items as you go along, like a flamethrower and some like guns and stuff like that. So you have sort of top-down little dungeony things you go through. There'll be little puzzles to solve, enemies to fight, bosses to fight. And then Sam's got some sort of kind of like energy projectile abilities. So then sometimes when you're doing some puzzles, you'll have to split up and then kind of like take control of different characters, go in different directions and stuff. So gameplay-wise is pretty sort of like standard, what you would expect from like a Zelda game. So again, nothing super new, but it's just polished, refined, works really well. You can upgrade your gear as you go along. There's like more things to find. There's a few little secrets as well, which is quite nice. The game is for the most part quite linear. You can explore around the cities and you can kind of find some collectibles and do some things like that. So there is exploration, but largely speaking, it will funnel you through a story. But it's quite nice that there are some areas where it does reward you for kind of going off the beaten track. There's some abilities you can't get unless you actually spend the time to do that. So, just the game is.
What type of additional abilities are we talking about? Like, is there magic spells or stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, basically for your actual main items you obtain, you can't miss those. But for Sam, she's basically got some like energy abilities, and she's got like one which you will get as part of the story, and there are 2 optional ones, and then a 3rd optional upgrade. So it's basically just her abilities. So it's not one of those kind of things where if you don't get them, like you're stuck in the game, or like it's going to make things much harder. But it's more sort of for the completionist that's like, oh, if you have, and it's actually pretty cool because when you find these ones, they're quite hidden, and B, you get them through these special sort of dungeons. So you go like off the beaten track to find this dungeon, then you have to go through and sort of navigate these puzzles and stuff, and it's quite a cool reward as a result of it. Cool. Which is definitely reminiscent of like the sort of Zelda style. So yeah, I mean that was it's just like the whole experience, just the whole way throughout, because like every single new region you go to is thematically very, very different. They've all got their own different sort of personalities, different characters. Like I'm constantly blown away by the artwork for it. Like I really like pixel art anyway. So, and this is probably some of the best pixel art I've seen.
It's gorgeous. It's so pretty.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so detailed.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just because one of those things where you can still, you can have so much personality in pixel art games anyway, but sometimes it's a little bit harder to convey that personality when you are obviously working with limited sprites. Mm-hmm. But I don't even know how to explain how they've done it, but they've just, this game is literally like from the second you load in and the camera just panning across, even from like the intro scene, it's just oozing personality. Like you just want to be in that world. I completed it in about 23 hours. They said that it can kind of be about 30 hours. I think if you want to get the 30 out of it, basically in game, there's a mini game in game, which is basically like a full-fledged Dragon Quest turn-based old school RPG, which you play. Like the kids are all like, oh, we want to go and play. I think they call it. I always get confused. What's the actual game? The actual game is Earthbound, right?
I think
the one that exists in the real world. Yeah, so the one in game is called Earthborn. I always get them confused. They've got the game in game called Earthborn, and basically, you can go through and do like your turn-based stuff. And there's like a little gachapon machine where you can collect what's basically this game's version of like Amiibo, which is also really, really cool. So yeah, you can genuinely sink quite a lot of time into that one. But cool. I didn't play it too much because I just wanted to kind of focus on the game. So yeah, I did it in like 23 hours. I did that in like a few just big stints because every time I finished playing it, I was just thinking about that game. So, I genuinely think like I look back at the year, I'm like, this is right now probably my favorite game I've played this year. And despite the fact that last week I was like Tales of Arise was probably my favorite. So yeah, it's good.
That's good.
Very good.
Yeah.
This is a Switch exclusive, right? Or is it on PC as well?
Switch and PC, which is, I'm kind of kicking myself because obviously I played it. This is the kind of game that I want to play on Switch. Like the whole time I wanted to play it, I was obviously very fortunate to get like a review code, but the review code came on Steam. Mm-hmm. So by the time it then, and it was kind of done in a strange way because like my review code was like a demo, so I could only play the first 2 chapters. So I then had to wait till launch day to continue playing. And I was kind of conflicted on launch day. I was like, I've sunk 5 hours into the game. Like, do I start again on Switch? And I do wish I had in some regards because like I do. Like this is definitely a game that I want to sort of sit on the couch and play. But since I was recording everything, I didn't really miss out too much. And I was like, I don't really have the time to redo 5 hours. So I did play it all through on Steam. PC and Switch basically.
Cool. Play that on the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I think I'm going to download this tonight. Is there a retail release for it?
Not right now, but I did ask them on Twitter before, and they basically sort of said like emoji eyes, like it might be possible. And they've recently partnered with is it a company called like I Am 8-Bit or something? So say they're going to be doing some like they're going to be doing some physical stuff. So we don't know what yet. And in Japan there is a physical version with like a little figure of Sam. So there is physical stuff out there. So I'm just trying to keep my eyes on the one in the West, and like the second that gets physical release, I am snapping that up straight away.
Nice.
Yeah, dang. Now do I wait to buy the physical release or do I just buy it now? I think I'll just buy it now.
And I would just like release too. Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah, I would just buy it now because I mean it's one of those ones where like it is obviously still slightly more niche, so I don't feel like it's necessarily like a worry where you're like, oh, if you don't play it this week, someone's going to spoil the game for you or spoil the ending for you. Like I don't feel like it's being spoken about as much, but at the same time, I could genuinely see this being kind of like one of those sort of games that goes down. I'd like to think it would go down as like one of those sort of pixel art like cult classics, almost in the same vein that everyone's like hyping about sort of Hades. Mm-hmm. I feel like Eastward might not quite get the same pickup as Hades because Hades had like the mass platform appeal and stuff. So maybe it's more limited, but it's that caliber of game.
Nice. That's high remarks. Yeah.
It's only $25 too.
Yeah.
I'm excited to play it.
I'm probably gonna play it tonight.
Yes, do it.
Although I already bought the game that Tefty's going to talk about. It's literally sitting in shrink wrap on my table.
You haven't
to slide it
you haven't even
installed
it yet.
Yeah. No, I was going to try and get it today, but I ended up pressure washing the fence. So,
priorities, right? That fence isn't going to pressure wash itself, clearly.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so that sounds awesome. Eastward sounds like something I definitely need to pick up and play. I don't know if I want to pick it up on Switch or wait till the Steam version, but
Steam Deck.
Yeah, Steam Deck, but
that's gonna be that's a while away though.
I know, because I'd have to actually get the Steam Deck, and that's gonna be like Q1 if I'm lucky, if there's no production problems.
Yeah.
So it would be a ways away. So I'll probably end up just playing on the Switch.
Did you get an OLED Switch? Did either one of you get? I know, Eric, you definitely got one.
I definitely did. Yeah.
Okay.
I bought my money away.
Yeah, I bought this in March. I wasn't planning on getting a OLED.
Thank you for that again, by the way.
You're welcome.
I really feel like that really kind of pushed Nintendo along. Tefty bought it. Now we can.
I just had to rip the Band-Aid off, so you guys
and
can
that's
get
precisely
new
why I
hardware.
buy the OLED, right? Because then if I buy the OLED, then they'll announce the Switch
Then the Pro comes.
Switch Pro.
Exactly.
With,
really.
Breath
Which
of the
I'm
Wild
going to buy again.
The reason I ask is because pixel art games really look fantastic on OLED screens because with the OLED being a pure black behind it, it really makes that pixel art like kind of pop out in like really nice colors.
Yeah, I agree on that for sure. The screen upgrade would definitely be nice. So Deathloop, this came out last week. Was it Friday last week? Anybody know?
Tuesday, I think.
Oh, was it Tuesday? I can't remember.
The embargo lifted on Monday or Tuesday, I think. Actually, no. It came out on a Thursday.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I ended up playing some over the weekend. I didn't finish it yet. And it's interesting seeing like the marketing and then seeing reviews and then actually playing it because it's a really good game. I actually really like it. Like they have a ton. It's just like you were talking about with Eastward having all this like style and personality coming through. I mean, it's Arcane Studios and they ooze style in their games, right? Like Dishonored is just God, like you're playing Dishonored when you look at it. And honestly, you can feel the DNA in this game as well. A lot of that Dishonored DNA is definitely in Deathloop. So getting to play it, it's very fascinating how heavily dialogue driven or like the story is strange and interesting. And they're also set in like a 70s style and vibe, which is really cool.
That vibe is real cool.
Oh, I love it. Like even all the audio is like filtered to sound like it's coming off of tape instead of like high def digital audio, So like all the menu stuff, it sounds like it's been filtered on the high end to like have that click sound. It's really cool. I like it quite a bit actually. I haven't finished it yet. I got to the place where you basically have a bunch of stuff open to what like choose your own like kill that you want to start doing. And I've been going through and collecting all the slabs and all that. And it's an interesting concept. And like I saw people talking about how the design of it is like a masterclass in game design.
Okay.
And I see what they're talking about because it like for the most part, I've had no confusion as to what I'm supposed to do next. And it has a lot of complexity between like weapon trinkets and again, the slabs and like the things that you can go and pick up and how you can have things persist between loops. So there's a fair amount of complexity behind it, but they've done a pretty amazing job at explaining it and making sure you understand it before you move forward on that. And I appreciate that because this is definitely one of those games where if I was streaming it and I'm reading chat and not reading the game, like I'd be like, what the hell was I supposed to do? what?
Yeah.
They could have do like a journal for you. Like they auto maintain a journal for you that kind of points you in the right direction all the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So like even though you do have to pay attention to quite a bit of what's happening in the game, they do a good job of making sure you understand this next part so you know how to persist your weapons or, understand how to put trinkets and things into your gear and all that. So they've done a great job with that. And the voice acting I think is awesome too. It really adds that vibe, that 70s, like, I'm going to catch you type of vibe that's going on. Yeah. And graphically, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Are you said you're playing on PS5?
Playing on the PS5, and I'm playing on performance mode, so it stays at 60 FPS. Okay. So I'm missing out on ray tracing. But again, game looks really good regardless. You know, I mean, ray tracing would be nice, but it'd drop it down to 30 FPS. I haven't tried it, and it's a first-person shooter, so I'd rather stick with 60 FPS. That always feels better. Yeah, one concern I had was whether or not the weapons were going to feel good. And I'd say for the most part, they feel really good. Like I feel like there was an era where Bungie was like the only one that was nailing weapons, and everybody else was like, "How do we do this?" You know. And I feel like definitely. With the past 5 years, people have caught up and finally like dissected the DNA of how to make weapons feel good in first-person shooters. And now you have most games have those weapons. They feel satisfying to use and all that. So yeah, it's cool. I like it. We'll see once I finish it how I feel about that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on my list. Like, I definitely now that Eastward is done and Tales is done, I do want to play it because it's for me. I'm not always like the first person, but it was sold to me as like hey, you like Hitman? You're probably gonna like this.
Yeah.
I'm just paranoid that for me, as somebody that like chokes in trials, I feel like I'm gonna be enjoying my game, and then I'm gonna get invaded, and I'll be like, oh no.
That's really interesting that there is that invade mechanic where somebody can enter your game and come after you.
Yeah, you can turn it off though. You can say I only want to play in single player. So Juliana isn't always giving you the D.
Doesn't she then just become AI instead?
She does, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's got this teleport mechanic, so she's annoying. She's like a taken captain, constantly teleporting. It's like, calm down, Juliana. God damn it. I could definitely see that being annoying, getting invaded when you're trying to do a complete run, and they, some god just comes in and knows exactly what to do in whatever situation. That could definitely be annoying. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, so the comparison with Hitman, I can see it, the comparison, because you do replay the area, but that I feel like it's a loose comparison. That as soon as you get past the fact that you're replaying these missions and you're trying to take people out, like that's it. Now you're in Dishonored world. It's much more on the Dishonored side, and you can definitely go in guns blazing. And I did that quite a bit. I was like, I just want to shoot these guys because I want to see what they do, and I want to see what type of weapons they drop. Because there's something I didn't mention is there's a whole loot mechanic in there where certain enemies will drop certain weapons, and then the targets, or like the high profile people, I forget what they call them specifically, they have a chance of drawing.
Visionaries. Yeah,
the visionaries. They have a chance of dropping better loot, and they'll drop a bunch of trinkets, and they'll also drop like whatever type of weapon. And I'm pretty sure it's random, sort of random, or it has a chance of being random, because I don't know that 100%, but it feels like you get the chance of different loot by repeating the kills on these guys.
So yeah, you do. So what happens is if they drop like certain guns, especially if they're like the golden ones, they have a fixed perk, but then they have a rolled perk as well. So yeah, you're right. Yes. You can farm them for like the better.
Yeah, thing. So there's like this farming aspect. It's like Dishonored. It meets a little bit of Borderlands in that sense, but not quite, just a bit, with like the mission structure of Hitman, but very loosely based, because it's focused on this island, and you get to choose, or you get to like pick the area that you're going based on it being morning, afternoon, evening, and night, I believe, or maybe it was just 3. Yeah, but I didn't pay too close attention to that. So it's fascinating that, and it's also interesting how those areas change depending on what time of day. Different traps and alerts and people will be there. Different opportunities to do things will show up in there. Yeah, it's cool. It's interesting. Very like, this game could have easily sucked. They could have like put this together and have been like, wow, none of this makes sense, but they nailed it for the most part.
It is a risky proposition, right? It's to try and like put this time loop mechanic into a game. Like they've been doing these immersive sims for a while, right? These are the same guys who did Dishonored and Prey, which are well-regarded games. But
for
to switch it up so much, right? And I would say well-regarded, but not extraordinarily popular game.
Yeah.
No, it's like a fixed, like a really dedicated niche sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But this game has been getting pushed hard. Like every time there's like a big event, like you always see this game getting featured. Like much more so than I think Dishonored 2 or Prey did. Like in my remembering. And like a lot of online advertising and stuff. So this game obviously like has money behind it, and it sounds like
two billboards just outside my gym saying Deathloop, like
really?
a meter apart. I'm like, what do you need 2 for? You saw it at this bus stop for this one.
In case you forgot.
Yeah, true. It's just like in a loop.
Yeah, I think
who's the developer on this? Is it
Arcane?
Okay.
Arcane. So like I'm kind of really excited that Arcane is getting like that push, right? Aren't they one of the studios that just got bought by Microsoft?
Yeah.
Oh, they did? They got bought by... Yeah.
Well, but because Arcane are owned by Bethesda, and Bethesda got bought by Microsoft. So this is technically the last game that will be on PlayStation for Arcane.
Yeah.
It's a limited time release for PlayStation as well, I think.
I think it's probably like a year or something like that. Yeah. A lot of the Xbox fanboys were like, haha, one of the best games on PlayStation this year is an Xbox game. It's like, I mean, technically.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's interesting seeing that kind of marketing push in there. And again, the marketing definitely sucked in telling you what 100%. You're getting in this game. Like,
I think it's hard to explain this game though. Like,
yeah,
I can see why it was difficult.
Totally. I mean, even me talking about my experience and saying, "Man, this was good," I find myself going, "Am I describing this correctly?" Because like I don't fully know. It is tough to say like, yeah, you're in this death loop, this time loop, and your character's trying to figure out what's going on, and this person is trying to kill you all the time, and everybody wants to kill you, and like, yeah, but there's loot, and you can go there in morning or night, and like, yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like this one would like knowing more about the game anyway. It is definitely a hard one. So like you're right. Like the marketing stuff before just didn't do a good job because every time I saw it, I was like, "This is boring." Like next, like it would come up in like no disrespect, but it would come up in like a showcase, and I'm like, "Why are they showing this game again?" But like obviously now that it's out, like I think there's 2 things I've learned. Is obviously like one is if ever a game has any kind of time related component, you just can't demonstrate the game because you need to basically play a time related story so you can realize how much it messes with your head and you're like, okay, cool. But then on the flip side, these games, they just need to like, and in fact, any game, they just need to stop doing the like super slow walkthrough gameplay. Like nobody wants to see that. We're not on a safari tour. I want to see you like dash through, throw a suitcase at someone's head, shoot them, flip backwards, jump out a window, teleport somewhere. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and keep the mystery. Because they did a whole bunch of explaining about how like there's this death loop and Juliana wants to kill you and like there's these visionaries and they're all going to be doing certain things. It's like, whoa, show me some cool gameplay.
Yeah. Imagine if the first time they ever showed it, they didn't tell you any of that. They were just doing you a walk through the mission like in a normal pace, and just as you had to complete it, you get domed by Juliana. They're like, "Oh yeah, there's this component in the game. Someone can ruin your day. Thanks for watching." Like, you wait, what?
Yeah.
I would have been like, yo, this is cool. That's how you sell it.
It does sound better.
Yeah, so
I'm really looking forward to this. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Tafty. Because
it's cool.
It's literally sitting on my table. I'll probably play it as soon as I'm done, like kind of with the podcast stuff tonight.
Yeah, I think you'll appreciate how I think the game design side of it is really exceptional. It's great. Like the way they position that stuff. In terms of the Hitman thing also, I just want to say, like, yeah, you can go full on stealth because it's an Arcane game. Of course, they're going to allow you to be like super stealthy and all that stuff. But I think it's also very fun to just guns blaze.
That was one of my
kick the hornet's nest
to Dishonored is because I don't like being stealthy, right? Like it's not my preferred kind of like even when I'm playing something like Hitman, like I'll start off stealthy, but by the end of every level, like everything that is going wrong is going wrong. Yeah, and it just turns into like a mess. And with Dishonored, like they really discouraged that kind of stuff to the point where like you know, like story-wise, it was like a bad thing.
Yes, and this is definitely not in that vein. Like you can go and kill every single person on the map, and it's like you get benefits from it. Actually, they'll drop trinkets, and you can yeah.
Murder with benefits.
I mean, it's fun, obviously, going in and strategically sniping people. Yeah, obviously, but you can, like I said, you could go guns blazing and go crazy with it. So, yeah, it's fun. I like it.
There were a couple of kind of news bits that I wanted to bring up today.
One
of them was, did we talk about Gran Turismo 7 in that PlayStation conference that they had recently?
We talked about it last week.
I can't even remember.
We talked about it last week for you.
Oh, no. You weren't here because it's probably just well you weren't here because I apologize, but I was like, they did the showcase and I was like, they have made the most boring looking game I've ever seen. I'm like, it's like watching paint dry. It is like I basically spent about 10 minutes just ragging on Gran Turismo for being a boring ass game. So I'm sorry.
That's fine. If you're not into what Gran Turismo does, like I don't think that any trailer is gonna get you into it.
Listen, I have to bring this up, Briar. I have to bring this up. I literally said that because you weren't here, I was like, I have to bring up Gran Turismo 7 because
thank you.
For you, yes.
It was literally the most exciting thing for me personally in that entire presentation. I was like so happy to see it. And it graphically, I think it looked really good, but it turns out that there was actually some trickery at play. So what they were obviously showing was like the replays. So you saw like the cars driving past. They didn't show a lot of like of the cars driving stuff, right? Like of gameplay. And it turns out that the game does feature ray tracing, but only in like playback mode. So like when you're driving the cars, when you're actually racing, no ray tracing, which I thought was really, honestly, a little tricky. Honestly,
that's a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, it's super deceptive. Be like, oh, we have ray tracing,
right?
But only in the replays.
Yeah. That sounds like remember when it was on the PS3 and there was like, and everyone used to do the big debate of like Forza versus Gran Turismo, and on PS3 all the Gran Turismo fans were like, yeah, well we've got 1,000 cars. It's like, yeah, but none of them are actually modeled internally. It's like, yeah, but we've got 1,000 cars. Yeah, but can I look at it in cockpit view? No. We've got 1,000 cars though.
7 of them are Honda Civics. 6 of them are Honda Accords.
And you can't look inside because inside it looks like a match.
No.
Look from afar. That's it.
I'll be honest, I'm still looking forward to this game because what Gran Turismo does, like on a driving like physics level, I think it's right up there. Like it's them and like Forza who are doing it like kind of neck and neck. And there is a new Forza Horizon coming out this year too, but I was a little disappointed that like this is going to be on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, so it's not fully going to take advantage of the PlayStation 5. I don't know. Even in the trailer that they showed, like on my 18th viewing or so, you could see like the tracks, like the cars looked like edible. You could eat them and they would be delicious, right? They look like candy. But the tracks look good, but then like the trees and foliage, like the mountains and stuff, not looking all that good. So I assume like that's kind of the heritage of the PS4 still at work. I'm still looking forward to this game, but man, I really wish it had been like kind of focused on being like a PS5 game.
Are you excited about adaptive triggers and how that's going to feel on a controller?
No, because I'll use a wheel.
I apologize for even mentioning. How could I possibly assume you'd use a controller in a race car?
Unacceptable.
Oh my God.
He's not a casual.
I'm hoping that this game will have VR support too. That would be sick.
Oh yeah. So out of Forza and Gran Turismo, like what are you most excited?
It's two different flavors of like something that I really enjoy. It's like Forza the Horizon series specifically brings that kind of like off the wall fun arcadey experience, but still with awesome driving physics, which I really do enjoy. With Gran Turismo, it's like, okay, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to focus on learning this track as best I can and repeating, like I'm going to nail this corner, then I'm going to follow into this S curve. And it's like memorizing this track and getting as fast on this track as I can. It's two different experiences, right?
That really does.
Super fun to me.
It really does sound boring. Forza Horizon. Horizon sounds awesome. Like I'm excited to play Forza.
It's fun.
Gran Turismo though.
Forza Horizon, you could race a Halo. You could race a Halo Warthog. You could jump over a blimp. There was that Lego expansion where you're driving cars made out of Legos. Like it's more like kind of arcadey.
Yeah, I like the arcadey driving experience.
one of my first like actual Forza experiences, not Forza Horizon, but the Forza one. When my friend used to like compete in like Forza games, so he was like really really good, and he would be like, I'll teach you to get better, and it was literally like driving around the same track so many times, because in Forza obviously they got the simulation aspect where your tires warm up, so it actually becomes easier to do the laps after a while. And I'm sitting there like literally doing like 50-60 laps just trying to shave like 0.2 seconds off it, and I was like, this is not me, man.
Yeah. I mean, I've liked the Gran Turismo series like since the beginning.
Yeah.
And I remember there was like a 250 lap or 500 lap, or I can't even remember how many laps it was, race in the original Gran Turismo. And I sat there for like 6 or 7 hours just racing
an Indy 500.
The same. I don't remember what race it was. It was so long ago too. That was in the 90s, you know?
That's cool. No, I like to see that side get expanded and, you know, the technology more glorified and all that. So I think it looks cool. I'm probably going to check out Horizon or Forza.
Yeah, Horizon it's just a ton of fun. The last one is free on Xbox Game Pass.
Right.
You can just download that now, and it's a fantastic game.
Is
it runs 60 FPS on?
Is the new one going to be on
like
Game
the most
Pass?
recent one. Yeah, and it runs at 60 FPS and 4K on an Xbox One X, I believe. Never mind a Series.
Cool.
So I mean, it's already a fantastic game. If you have a PC, it's like mind-numbing speed. It's like it's really good.
Cool.
Unfortunately, no VR support though. It's like, god damn, get some VR support in these driving games. It adds so much to have VR support. Being able to, because when you think about it, when you're driving, right, you don't just stare through the front window when you're taking a left-hand turn, right? You look to the left, so you know where you're going.
Right? Oh, is that what you're supposed to do? Oh,
yeah, theoretically, like in a perfect world.
Whoopsie! That way, everyone hoots at me all the time.
Yeah, cool.
The other thing I was kind of excited to see, and I just actually heard this because I was listening to another podcast, so I did some more research on it. But there has been an issue with the new consoles and NVIDIA graphics cards that they all offer HDMI 2.1, right? Which allows for 4K 120 hertz. It allows for more color depth. There's a bunch of features that HDMI 2.1 enables, and you have a TV or a monitor that is capable of that. By plugging your PC or your PS5 or Xbox Series X into that PC monitor, you can enable all those features. But if you have 3 of those things, it's a little bit of a pain in the ass because now you're plugging stuff out, pulling stuff in because you only have so many ports on your TV. Plus, if you want like surround sound and everything, it gets to be an issue. The problem was that receivers, like those receivers that you plug your speakers into, you plug all your stuff into, have not supported HDMI 2.1. Some of them did kind of support HDMI 2.1. There was a bug in the chip that they used to do it that just didn't allow for it. But just recently, companies have started releasing receivers that are HDMI 2.1 compatible, so you can plug all your devices into these receivers finally, and get real HDMI 2.1 video plus Atmos surround sound plus the full features of these consoles and PCs. It is a little bit confusing because some of them have the same model numbers as the old ones that weren't compatible or had that bug chip in it. So you have to actually be sure, like specifically Denon and Marantz, you have to check the serial numbers to make sure they were manufactured after May of this year, because they didn't change they didn't change the model numbers or anything. Wow. But if you're interested in being able to, switch inputs without like unplugging and plugging stuff back in, or if you want like really good sound and really good video out of your consoles, this is actually big news.
Nice.
Also, they offer Zone 2, so you can plug a capture card into Zone 2, and they work as a splitter. So
that's nice.
They're really handy. They're really handy if you're a content creator, because you can have basically they're a splitter. They're a matrix basically.
Yeah.
But they also do all your sound and everything.
Man, I'm
actually planning on picking one of these up for the office.
I've actually been trying to figure out that solution right now for the TV, because a lot of times I want to capture something off the Series X, and it just involves a bunch of unplug in, and then latency gets introduced somehow, and I'm like, I've got to figure out where this latency came from, and then the TV stops responding to understanding that's a console. It thinks it's a capture card now, so it's not doing the switch over to game mode and all that. So yeah.
Plus HDCP issues, like sometimes.
Yeah.
It's all fucked. Go back to RCA cables and a tube television. Just pretend none of this ever
happened. Where's my beloved component cables?
A good old S video.
Just go back to playing Nintendo Switch. That's it. Switch in handheld mode. Right. No more recording. That's it.
Yep.
If I want to record video, I'll just point a camera at the screen.
Yeah,
that's the old school way.
Over the shoulder onto the Switch camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
perfect.
I did not miss that.
Just get a GoPro and a head mount.
that used to be, yeah. That's how I used to record my PS Vita videos. Not with the head mount, but with the top down camera. It used to give me a backache because you have to look through the camera screen, you hold it perfectly, and it's like I can't move.
Oh, you have to look through the camera screen. Oh wow.
Well, because I always found that like if I set up the camera but I was looking more at the screen, I'd have to look around it, and then as I got more into the game, my hands would start to drift. Well, it wouldn't even be the head; it would just my hands would start to drift, and I'd be like off center.
Oh,
so I would film through the viewfinder to make sure that I would never leave there. But then you just have to like sit at a really, really awkward angle, and then after a while,
so this is how you got used to insane latency being introduced from your capture experience.
This is how Eric's got broken.
He has a legacy of this.
I've been doing this for a long time.
So I just Googled game releases because I was just curious to what's coming out soon.
Yeah.
Am I crazy, or is Kena Bridge of Spirits coming out tomorrow?
It is out tomorrow, and it is. I'm very excited for it, but it's actually quite interesting because there's a lot of people are. I really hope it's good, but it's just that people are worried because there are 0 reviews out. Nobody's been given review codes.
Good point.
And the game launches in like 3 hours, 2 hours, so it's just like. I hope
they had to delay it a month.
Yeah, I'm just hoping it's because my understanding is that like obviously Ember Labs is a very small team anyway, and I believe that even though it's been published on PlayStation, I believe that they're also handling sending out codes. So it might be in a very similar manner to sort of like some of those small developed indie games. If they're doing everything themselves, it might just be that they're struggling to just. I mean, by this time it should be gold anyway, so I don't know why, but yeah, I'm just hoping that fingers crossed. I'm hoping it's a great game because I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But obviously, yeah, people do get slightly worried when nobody is allowed.
Yeah, that is a little concerning. The game looks so promising up to this point. I hope they come through with the finish line. I
feel like I mean, like it looks really promising. I feel like if anything, the only thing. I mean, well. Obviously, I haven't played it, so I have 0 idea. But my thing that I might sort of think is the way they described the game before is they were like, "Oh, we've made Kena so that you can kind of complete it over a weekend." So, if anything, if they haven't got bugs and stuff, it might just be that the game is really short. Like it could be one of those things where it's like almost borderline like indie game short, where if they say you can complete it over a weekend, it could end up being like 4 or 6 hours, which won't necessarily always be a bad thing. I mean, like, do you guys remember the Order 1886? Like, that was a fantastic game. Functionally and gameplay wise, well, maybe not fantastic. It was a decent game. I enjoyed it. I liked it. Maybe fantastic.
I liked it too.
Word. It was a decent game.
Definitely a strong word.
Sorry, yeah, it was a decent game, but I really enjoyed it. But one of the big things is that even like though technically it was fine, people were just like, this game was 6 hours. I can't believe I paid money for this. So that might be the one thing for Kena. It might just be a really short game. We'll see.
I do think that is something that should be advertised. If your game is like 6 to 8 hours and you're charging $70 for it, I think you're setting yourself up for people to be really mad if they don't know about that beforehand.
Yeah, expectations are very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I agree with Eric's. I don't think that necessarily makes your game a bad game or a worse game, but people do attach value to the time of completion. Like that is a thing, whether you agree with it or not.
Yeah.
Diablo 2 Resurrected is coming out in like 3 days too. I was actually really looking forward to this game, and then like all that shit came out about what's going on over at Blizzard. Man, my interest in this game just like fell off a cliff.
That's the thing, yeah. Even like Diablo 4 stuff as well. Like Diablo 4 stuff was like shaping up to be really good, but even with that, I'm just like, I don't even remotely want to like look into it right now. Which is again, it's such an annoying thing because you know that like there's always two sides to it because there'll be people that have worked super hard on it that were just affected by it, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to support Blizzard for all that madness they've done. So yeah, but yeah, I'm not in any way looking at like 2 Resurrection. So
I know it sucks because I'm same boat like. Diablo 2 remaster, I'm like, oh, this sounds amazing. I can't wait. And then all the Blizzard stuff, Activision stuff comes out. I'm like, Jesus. I guess I'm never playing another active Blizzard game again, you know? They like I guess some stuff has been moving on that front in terms of the legal shakeup, but not enough, obviously. There hasn't been enough stuff happening in that world for them to truly make penance on that awful environment, you know. And again, it's obviously not exclusive just to that company. It's rampant in the industry, but you got to draw a line somewhere. You got to have your buck is basically what's voting for these games and allowing them to continue in a certain way, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's what studio is it? Is it High Noon?
What kind of?
No, for Diablo. Sorry, Diablo 2.
Oh, sorry. I was like,
Vicarious Visions. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, God. Oh, man.
So it's a double-edged sword.
So good when they were,
I know they did an amazing job with Destiny 2 expansion just development in general for Destiny 2, and
they're not part of that corporate culture, or at least they're new additions to that.
Yeah, I mean they're owned by Activision, but they're technically Vicarious Visions is a company that's owned by Activision, so. It's not like
what a tangled web we weave.
I know. So they're not directly inside that, but they're connected, and supporting them, unfortunately, does mean that your dollar is supporting more of the Activision overlords that are allowing awful things to happen in their company.
There's MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries coming out. I believe, when was that coming out? On the 23rd. So that's the same day as Diablo 2. I haven't played a MechWarrior game since the 90s. I'm kind of into this.
Nice.
It looks really good too.
Cool.
What else is coming out? Death Stranding Director's Cut, because that game needed to be longer.
As someone who loved that game, played it all the way through, that is hilarious.
Outer Wilds is getting DLC on September 28th. I didn't even know this game was getting DLC.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Well, so it's good to know what's coming out, right?
Yeah, there's some stuff for sure. It is definitely concerning with Kena. I was really looking forward to that, but if it's like a super short game, like that's not going to change my desire to play it, but still, I was looking forward to possibly
if it's a bad game,
saga.
That'll change my.
If it's bad, that's true.
I really hope it just comes out. I mean, because they've been working so hard. I mean, obviously everyone works hard, they project stuff, but they've been working so hard that the team are like super passionate behind it. Like, I really hope it does end up just coming out really well, and maybe they just haven't sent out codes because they've just been swamped because they're such a small team and they just haven't been able to juggle like PR and development. I'm hoping it's just that, and then they're just like, sorry, we haven't sent codes out. Because also, I never understand from like obviously, you know, code distribution from like a consumer point of view. You're just like, surely you have codes, but like the actual generation of codes like happens somewhere else. So maybe it was just an all innocent thing, and they just had a delay on codes, and they just haven't been able to get them out, and they're just working really hard in their game, and then hopefully it actually comes out and people love it. Like, I hope it's as good as it looks, because it just looks like a fun adventure. It looks like a world that I want to explore. And again, it's not going to, regardless, I don't expect it to be, it's not going to be very, like, even, hopefully it's not super short, but it's not going to be, I think it's important for people to go into it knowing that it's not going to be long. Like, they specifically said,
right,
it is like a weekend game. So I'm thinking like Ratchet and Clank, right? We did that in like 8-10 hours. So
yeah, Watson chat said it's confirmed to be between 8 to 10 hours for the game.
Okay, cool. Well,
8 to 10?
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially after like recently doing a 60-hour game and a 30-hour game, I'd quite like a 10-hour game, thanks.
Nice little morsel.
Yeah.
Nice little meal. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. Is there any other news for the week or things?
Nothing that caught my eye.
Don't think so. Not at the moment.
Cool.
No.
Well, I think that's episode 110 of SideQuest.
110. SideQuest complete.
Wrap it up,
There it is. Thank you very much to everyone listening and hanging out. And shout out to our Patreon members and our Twitch subs for supporting the shows. You guys are all amazing. Eric's, what are you going to be doing this week?
This week, I will be playing Kenna, starting tomorrow.
There you go.
That's what I'm doing. Checking that out, have a video on it, and then I look forward to it. So
Nice.
yes, and then some other redacted stuff, which will show up on the channel later on in the week.
Nice, love redacted.
Oh, and also Death's Gambit. I forgot to mention, not that I've played it yet, but you know Death's Gambit, that really cool looking side-scrolling PS4 game that was like a Souls roguelike kind of thing. Death's Gambit Afterlife is launching on September 30th, which is like, it might as well be a full new game. It's like an expansion to it as well. But it's also on Switch. So finally, I can play that game on Switch because it was only on PlayStation before.
Cool.
So yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Nice. Briar, how about you?
I don't know, man. Like, I'm playing it by ear. I'm out here living.
Gonna do some donuts in the parking lot of Walmart.
I only got like 10% of the fence power wash, so I'll probably be doing that for the next few days.
Got it. Everything else on hold. All right.
The wife has decreed the fence must be cleaned.
I think I'm probably going to be playing Kena and possibly finishing up Deathloop. We'll see. So that's my plan. Thanks for watching, everyone. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week for another episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you later.